Hello and welcome to the Metaverse Insider's interview series. My name is Josh, and in today's episode, we revisit the decentralized, sustainable cloud ecosystem of DeepSquare with Charly Mancel, the head of projects and delivery, and Christophe, Lillo, the head of infrastructure, discussing the technology behind it and how this will impact the world of gaming. Hey guys, thank you for joining us today. We really appreciated our call a few months ago, and we're super excited about our conversation today. So, just to start our conversation, Charly, could you tell us about how DeepSquare technology will power gaming applications as we know today and in the future?
So when you are a gaming company, you need to be able to scale your servers according to the demand. And sometimes you have big events, and that requires to scale up very fast for a short term, but you don't want to spend too much, like you don't want to have your dedicated service for this time up and running for weeks just for this little time. So this is where DeepSquare can help. When companies want to scale fast, we can provide bare metal and low latency performance that they need for the games. Also, what is pretty nice about DeepSquare is that we have a decentralized network of clusters, meaning that the cluster you're actually playing on can be very close to you, and so have the lowest latency possible.
Thank you, Charly. I was actually reading about this earlier, how your clusters are closer, if not actually inside residential areas. So, by being operated on the DPS grid, this will improve things by quite a large margin. Could you please elaborate on how this will improve both normal and cloud gaming, please?
So right now, I'm not a game industry guy, but what I can say is that bare metal performance can be very expensive, especially when you need it right away. Like right now I need servers right now, bare metal. The thing is, I don't know if you know about that, but bare metal performance and virtualized environments can be the same price, provided that you rent the bare metal clusters for a long time. Like you book it for 6 months, then the price is almost the same. But if you want bare metal performance right now for like a week, you will pay maybe twice the price, even more sometimes. And what is nice with DeepSquare is that you pay for what you use with tokens. And provided that there is availability on the network, you will be able to control your spending, and you will also have the performance you need. And this is where it can be really beneficial for the cloud industry, for gaming, I think, having on-demand bare metal performance right away.
Well, that sounds very promising, effectively adding a layer of affordability. So, Christophe, concerning affordability, but also sustainability, how will DeepSquare technology be able to maintain and make this sustainable? I know this is an important aspect of DeepSquare's ethos.
So with DeepSquare, we really focus on the bleeding edge technology in terms of infrastructure. Our 2 sites in Switzerland are based on immersion cooling technology. So it means we are directly cooling the servers inside oil, and it makes very easy to reuse that heat to heat up buildings. That's what we are doing. For instance, in Sion, we are also directly plugged to the district heating. And also, the technology allows us to really make use of 100% of all the hardware we got. And in the case of gaming, thanks to render streaming technology, we can even have multiple players sharing the same GPU. So if you put all that together, we really have a really optimized setup in terms of sustainability.
Thank you, Christophe. So, for the average player, how will they benefit from DeepSquare's high-performance computing services? And will high-level professional gamers, like esports players, well, the ones which require these fast interconnections, will they benefit more from this?
Like I said before, I don't think for the end user it will change anything, and this is also why it's good. Like, you will not make a difference between normal servers and decentralized servers. It should be the same. You might have some nice performance improvements if for example, the clusters is in your city or your residence, you will have the best ping, but it is true to any service. Just like by being decentralized, having more clusters everywhere, I think people that play together in the same city or around on the same server, they will have the best experience. Right now, if you see the clusters, that if you play games, you can see that they are very localized in some big cities, especially if you see with Amazon, etc. So this is where I think it can make a difference. But else, I think it's a feature to have the same performance as the current centralized cloud, actually. Being decentralized, yeah. I don't know if Lillo, you want to add something on that?
Yeah, I would say for gaming, the high performance network stack we have, etc., will not make a huge difference because we are not using multiple nodes at the same time that need to interact together in order to serve a game. For instance, it's more like node specific, but we do have the best in class. I mean, not the best in class, but almost the best in class. We have 200 gigs networking between the nodes. So it's more for real HPC / supercomputing application. We really have a big improvement using these technologies. But still, for gaming, we still benefit from the high bandwidth, but it's not, the difference is not in the networking, I would say. It's more in the fact that we are near to the gamer. We have multiple sites, so we can pick the one which is the nearest, and reduce the latency. That makes a difference.
There is also something that maybe we'll talk about in this interview, but it's about this new technology that is render streaming. I don't know if you know about that, but so what Lillo said is true for normal games where you have a game server that is like, it's not so heavy on server side. Like you need to control players' positions and communications between, like, basically coordinate players between them, each other. Where it makes a difference is when you do all the processing on server side, meaning the rendering and the encoding. When you want to relieve the burden of the gamers to not require, to not need a gaming computer to play, and just having like a GPU-less laptop to play the best games is possible today with these new technologies, but it requires all the computing done on server side. And this is where our cloud can make a difference, because being HPC, so having this ability to, let's say, have a supercomputer, like you can have, for example, a server using more than 4, 8, 16 GPUs at the same time. It means that we can offer the best experience for this technology that is render streaming. And the games of today might not be using this much because it's a new technology. But in the future, maybe esport will even run on this kind of game servers. And I don't know for the future. I'm not in the industry. But if gaming industry needs HPC performance in the future, we'll be there and we will provide great performance. This is what I wanted to add.
That's really interesting. I really like the idea of that. Increasing accessibility no matter of your hardware. I know that we briefly touched on this, but could you just please elaborate on what DeepSquare technology means for gaming companies and publishers alike?
Well, I've said it before. So when you want to scale, you will have on-demand bare metal servers accessible. And for, in general, being able to control your spending and to basically have alternatives for the current clouds. Right now, people use things like Esther, things like that, and we will be a good alternative to this. Also, we are a decentralized cloud, and I think it is really interesting for decentralized games. This is not really the question, but for publishers and companies that are working on decentralized games, it's a big deal, because I think the story of a game is not complete if you are running on Amazon, like you have a decentralized game, you are playing the decentralized cards, seeing everything is written on blockchain, it's secure, etc. But if everything is running on Amazon, and at some point, imagine Amazon deciding, the government is pressuring them, stop blockchains. And then what about your game? What about your servers? Everything dies, And so having this decentralized alternative for game hosting, game server hosting, is nice. And I think it's just to complete this story of being having a decentralized game, you need to also run on a decentralized cloud. I think it's a paradox to not have both.
Yeah, well, and when we say, sorry, Josh, I just wanted to add, when we say decentralized, it can be seen as a geolocation decentralized, but actually what we offer also is a cloud which is multi-location, but also multi-tenant. It means that there is not only one organization behind all the IT resources, but many organizations and many locations.
Yeah, really cool stuff. I know that for DeepSquare, decentralization is a cornerstone of the company. And it's really interesting to see you bring this to other industries like gaming, you know? So people don't always put two and two together concerning the likes of gaming and decentralization. There's always the notion that gaming is centralized, but it is evident that there's a lot of potential with your trajectory. I also saw that you recently joined the Blockchain Gaming Alliance. What do you hope to fulfill with this collaboration?
So right now, what is really on our infrastructure is Unity render streaming. So I talked about render streaming before, and we, as we have a very good advisor that is a Unity developer and product manager at Envil Studio, we started with Unity. And so we would like to talk about our technology in this game alliance, so that like we exist and that it's ready to use right now. I don't know if you have the chance to see some demos on our YouTube channel, but basically provided that you have a Unity game ready for render streaming, you're ready to go with some credits on our platform. But it's not, we don't want to stop to Unity render streaming because it's very new and most people just use Unity, not render streaming, you know. And so what we want to be able to do is to be able to host game servers, Unity game servers. And so we are doing some R&D there to fit these to our HPC stack. But whenever it's possible, it means that we can host Unity games, regardless of being render streaming or not. And all these games that are made in this Alliance association, probably most of them are made on Unity. So we will be able to offer them decentralized cloud to host the game.
Thank you, Charlie. It's really big stuff. It's interesting to hear your take on render streaming. A lot of us are aware of the current state of cloud gaming. I think many of us can agree that there's still a lot of progress to be made. So back to you, Christophe. How long do you think it will take for cloud high-performance computing to become mainstream for the gaming industry as a whole?
I think right now both let's say cloud and HPC industries are more and more converging in terms of technologies, and a big player here is the container technology, which is being more and more used also in the HPC community, and like bridging the gaps between HPC and cloud. So what we offer as DeepSquare is a full container workflow, where we could basically abstract all the complexity of HPC and give to the user the same kind of experience he would find using the general purpose clouds and technologies such as Docker and Kubernetes. And I think this is really the key to make it mainstream.
Thank you very much. Once again, making services mainstream is the greatest challenge. The technology exists, but the challenge lies in accessibility for all. So just to elaborate more on the DeepSquare grid, how do you maintain it?
We have on-site operator to do on-site maintenance, and we are using the best-in-class technologies to monitor and fix any issues as soon as it appears. We are doing it with the I would say the state-of-the-art technologies for cloud operations, basically Kubernetes and the standard stacks for that. nothing fancy here.
Thank you for clarifying. So, Charly, what separates DeepSquare from other cloud-based computing companies like Kudos?
I can try, but I don't know what are the latest features of Kudos. When I read about Kudos, it was maybe 2 years ago. I quite follow the news, but I don't. What I think the main difference is, and I don't think they do that, but we have this HPC approach, high performance computing approach, meaning that if you want to train an AI model with 12, 16 GPUs at the same time with almost no overhead with communication internodes, we can do that, and it's our specialty. I don't think Kudos can do that. I think, to my maybe it has changed, but it would not be a great fit for HPC workloads on Kudos. So this would be the difference.
Thank you, Charly. So, Christophe, aside from Kudos, are there any other striking differences from other cloud-based computer services which are also currently out there?
Yeah, I think it's again, it's our stack, which is really different of what we find in the general purpose cloud. For instance, we are using no virtualization, and yeah, HPC is really a word that has been used and misused lately, because everything which is basically using compute power, GPUs, is tagged as HPC. And in reality, what we really mean when we say HPC is supercomputing. It means, like, instead of breaking nodes into small parts, small VMs, what we do is like putting all the nodes together to like form one big logical computer we could address as one logical entity. And I think that's really the difference we have to offer. And for instance, when Charly was saying that we could offer HPC, bare metal performance, we don't even need to offer a full node. The customer don't need to book a full node. He can also book a part of this node, like when using virtualization, when you want an instance with only, I don't know, 1 GPU and for 8 cores, whatever. With our service, you can choose any like odd numbers, like if you want 3 cores and I don't know 4.2 gigs of RAM, you can book that and have bare metal access on these resources. And this is because we are really using the typical supercomputing stack rather than virtualization technologies and general purpose cloud technologies.
It's lovely. Well, from what I've seen, read, and researched, DeepSquare do appear to be one of the more prosperous companies within this sector of the industry. And just to finalize our conversation, guys, could you summarize what you're most excited about in 2023 for DeepSquare?
I'm excited about releasing the product to make it available to the customers. Even if it is only free credits and it is not paid and not bringing revenue, it will come very soon, actually, to be able to make available Blender, for example, to be able to, like, people that wants to do offline rendering for like games or movies, etc. They will be able to leverage our HPC approach, meaning that they could render their movies much faster than what they used to with the normal computers. Also with games, I think in 2023, the first part of 2023, we will be able to have our first game hosting tests with Unity, at least, which is good. And then, basically releasing new interfaces, new apps, because the let's say the engine is here, and the goal is for businesses then to use our infrastructure instead of us making applications available ourselves, because we cannot spend so much energy on making software. Like, we are an infrastructure company, so we are making some software components so that we can show, hey, we can do that at DeepSquare. We can do that, so you can try. But later on, what we are building our to make this accessible to developers and businesses, so that they can build their apps, websites on top of DeepSquare, the DeepSquare infrastructure, and being completely linked to a decentralized cloud. And this is what I want to see into 2023 is the first businesses using DeepSquare. Like, for example, an AI company will be amazing. So we have a sister company that is called Square Factory, and this is an AI company making an MLOps tool that is really appreciated. And these guys will be our first customer. And once this is done, then it will be the first step to onboard new customers. So basically, in short, making our infrastructure accessible to both end customers and businesses.
On my side, I would say I'm very excited to break free from HPC only type of workloads. We are really enhancing the stack to make it work with also serverless, Kubernetes type of jobs or workload. And this is really coming this year. So we'll not only be able to serve like the most demanding HPC workloads, but also more general purpose type of jobs.
Well, thank you for your time today, guys. Really interesting conversation, and I'm excited to see how DeepSquare will develop in 2023. Well, that's a wrap for today's episode of Charly and Christophe from DeepSquare. Be sure to stay tuned for weekly updates in the industry and content covering all things Metaverse. Follow the Metaverse Insider on Twitter and LinkedIn, and visit metaverseinsider.tech for all our content. Thank you for joining us, and see you next time.